everybody, and welcome to Final Play Sports Wrap. I'm your host, Pete Lubar, and today we're doing Week 9 of the Big 12 Wrap-Up. And yes, I do know that the way I spell wrap is not the correct spelling of wrap. I know it's W-R-A-P. However, my show is called Final Play Sports Wrap, R-A-P, and we are wrapping up the Big 12 this week. There were a lot of meaningful games, but more importantly, Cincinnati and Houston and BYU all proved they were for real with big wins over quality opponents. The Big 12 now has two 5-0 teams in BYU and Cincinnati, and two 4-1 teams in Houston and Texas Tech, and a slew of 3-2 teams who will figure into the final standings for certain. So let's start with the games this week. BYU outdueled Iowa State in a big win, 41-27, a very highly entertaining game. I had the opportunity to switch between BYU, Iowa, and the Cincinnati game, Cincinnati-Baylor. Both were very interesting games, but the BYU game was very entertaining. Iowa State grabbed an early 17-7 lead in the first period, scoring a TD on a 75-yard pass from Rocco Beck to Brett Eskildenson. I'm sure I didn't say that right. And added another TD late in the first period on by the tough running of Carson Hansen, who ran for like 150 yards the other night. Iowa State led at halftime, 24-17. BYU's Bear Beckmeyer ran in from the 7 to score the only TD in the third period. The score was tied at 27 heading into the fourth. BYU started the fourth quarter with a touchdown reception from Parker Kingston, and then the BYU defense took over, getting a pick six from Falatau Satuala and another interception to seal the victory. Beckmeyer threw for 307 yards and 2 TDs. He looked fantastic doing it. He ran for another 49 yards and 1 TD. You have to remember, this is a freshman. He is going to be some kind of good player in the next 2 years. So Beck had Rocco Beck for Iowa State, threw for 311 yards and 1 TD, but he also had 3 interceptions. BYU remains undefeated on the season, 7-0. Texas Tech bombed Oklahoma State 42-0 on Saturday. Third-string quarterback Mitch Griffs had 172 yards passing and 1 TD in relief of backup Will Hammond, who tore his ACL in the second period. First-string quarterback Baron Morton should be ready for the game against Kansas State this weekend. Cincinnati remained undefeated in conference play, beating Baylor 41-20. Cincinnati got out to a 17-point lead before Baylor scored on a TD, and the Bearcats led at the half 24-6. Quarterback Brendan Sorsby only had 111 yards passing, but threw for 2 TDs and added another 85 yards on the ground and a rushing TD. One thing I will say for Cincinnati's uniforms, they are smart. They looked really good on my color TV, and very impressed with how they played. Houston also had a great win. They improved to 4-1 in the conference with a fairly dominant victory over Arizona State. Houston scored the first 24 points of the game and held off a furious Sun Devil rally in the fourth quarter to win 24-16. Connor Wigman had a great game, hitting 17-22 for 201 yards and 1 TD, and ran for another 111 yards and 2 TDs. Tanner Koziol had 8 catches for 100 yards and 1 TD for the Cougs. ASU had a fumble, 2 missed field goals, and 12 penalties. You cannot lose the turnover battle, miss field goals, and have 12 penalties and expect to win even at home. So not a great loss for ASU, but a very nice win for Houston, who stays in the chase. So another game, Avery Johnson had 237 yards and 2 TDs and ran for 2. And Jace Brown had 9 receptions for 160 yards and a TD as Kansas State smoked Kansas University 42-17. The score was 21-14 at halftime, but then KU outscored them 21-3 in the second half. KU was hurt by 4 turnovers, 2 interceptions, and 2 lost fumbles. The total offense was completely dominant by KSU, 371 to 247. K-State moves to 3-2 in conference. Kansas falls to 2-3. Both teams are now 4-4 on the year. TCU traveled to West Virginia and outlasted a game Mountaineer squad 23-17. Josh Hoover threw for 247 yards and 1 TD for the Horned Frogs, who led 20-7 at the half. Scotty Fox Jr. threw for 301 yards and 2 TDs for the Mountaineers. TCU now moves to 3-2 in the Big 12. West Virginia is now 0-5, and they play, I think, Houston next week, which does not bode well for them. Finally, in Big 12 action, CU traveled to Salt Lake for a late-night affair with Utah. Utah used backup quarterback Bird Ficklin, who was subbing for the injured Devin Dampier. He had a minute in the spotlight there, throwing for 140 yards and 2 TDs, and rushing for 151 yards and 1 TD as Utah blasted CU 53-7. It was a total butt kicking. It was 43-0 at the half. CU generated a mere 140 yards in total offense and gave up 580 yards, 422 on the ground against the Utes. And so, did not go well for CU. UCF and Arizona had byes. So we're looking at some of the top teams that are still really in contention for the title. The standings with 4 weeks to go. BYU and Cincinnati are on top, both 5-0. Texas Tech is 4-1. Houston is 4-1. And then you have 4 teams, Utah, Arizona State, K-State, and TCU, that are all at 3-2. So starting to see some good separation here. All the other teams are in worse position and probably at this point have no real chance to play in the conference championship game or in the BCS. And I think it's not even called that. It's called the FBS Bowl Championship Series or something. Anyhow, you guys know what I mean. So if we look ahead at this week's schedule, there's 14 teams playing. West Virginia at 2-6, 0-5, travels to number 22 Houston, who is 7-1 on the year, 4-1 in conference. Houston is a 14.5 point favorite. I like that bet. I would take Houston and give the points. UCF is 4-3. They're coming off a bye week. They're 1-3 in conference. They're going to Baylor, who is 4-4, 2-3. The spread is 4.5. I like Baylor in that game. Arizona State is 5-3, 3-2 in conference. They are traveling to Iowa State, who is 5-3 and 2-3 in conference. Iowa State is favored by 5.5. Well, not sure about that one. I might take the points and take ASU. They lost last week. They didn't look all that good doing it, but they're still a pretty good team. Iowa State has not looked very good for the last few weeks, and so I think I might take Arizona State. Texas Tech is 7-1, 13th ranked, 4-1 in conference. They're heading to Manhattan, Kansas, to play K-State. K-State is 4-4 on the year, 3-2 in conference. Texas Tech is a 7.5 point road favorite. And how do I feel about this game? Boy, Kansas State, as I told you guys last week, has played a lot better the last 3 weeks, probably 3-4 weeks. And so they've looked like the team we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. But Texas Tech is really good, and if Baron Morton's back, they're one of the best teams in the conference in terms of scoring and one of the best teams in the conference in terms of defense, and they probably will win. But wouldn't surprise me if K-State covers the 7.5 points. Oklahoma State, 1-7, 0-5, is heading to Kansas, 4-4, 2-3. Kansas is favored by 4.5. I would take Kansas. And yep, Arizona is 4-3, 1-3, coming off a bye, traveling to Boulder to play CU. CU is 3-5, 1-4. CU looked like the team gave up last week, and they've quit, and so they are 4.5-point dogs at home. Would not surprise me if Arizona covers that, but the game might be very close. I don't think either team is all that great. And then you've got number 17 Cincinnati, 7-1 and 5-0, heading to number 24 Utah, who's 6-2 and 3-2. I guess the game day will be in Salt Lake City this week. It's a big game for sure. Big game for both teams. Utah is a favorite by 7.5, which seems like a big number. I don't know if they'll have Dampier back, but the kid they had to replace him played pretty well and almost looked like the same player. So would not surprise me if Utah wins. I don't know if they can cover 7.5, but I would probably lean towards taking the points and taking Cincinnati. TCU and BYU both have byes this week. And so let's just look at some of the Big 12 leaders, the rushing leaders in yards. L.J. Martin from BYU has 769. Raylick Brown from Arizona State has 706. Cameron Dickey at Texas Tech has 678. And Bryson Washington from Baylor has 603 yards. They've all played 8 games. From a passing leader standpoint, Sawyer Robertson continues to lead the conference in passing with 2,512 yards, 23 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, not bad. Following him is Josh Hoover from TCU. He's got 185 completions and 285 attempts. He's had 22 touchdowns and 6 interceptions for 2,371 yards. Noah Fafita from Arizona has 155 completions and 235 attempts, 17 touchdowns and 4 interceptions for 1,829 yards. And Baron Morton from Texas Tech has 104 completions and 152 attempts and 13 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 1,500 yards. It's hard to say who the best quarterback is. Sawyer Robertson has the most yardage. I think Josh Hoover may be the best quarterback. But we all knew going into the season the Big 12 was loaded at quarterback. As I didn't mention Sam Levitt at all, but certainly he's a really nice looking quarterback. And the kid that I've been most impressed with is the Bear Bachmeier from BYU. God, he looks good. He's accurate. He's going to play on Sundays. He looks super accurate. He doesn't have as many yards as some of these guys, but he runs a lot as well. But he's just a good-looking kid that is going to be a great quarterback in this league for a while. Receiving leaders, you've got Eric McAllister from TCU has caught 37 balls this year for 727 yards. You've got Jordan Tyson from Arizona State, 57 catches for 628 yards. You've got Robert Chase from BYU, has 32 catches for 591 yards. You have Jace Brown from Kansas State, has 36 catches for 577 yards. In terms of offensive team points, Texas Tech averages 43.6 a game. Utah is at 38.9 points a game. Cincinnati at 38.3 and BYU at 36.3. Team defense, Texas Tech 12.4, Utah 14.3, BYU 17, and UCF 17.1. So if you think about Texas Tech scoring 43 and giving up 12, that would explain why they win. Utah, same thing, scoring 39 almost and giving up 14. And BYU is scoring 36 a game and giving up 17. So you can see why those couple of teams are near the top of the standings. If I had to give my coach of the year, kind of ballot right now. There's 3 candidates, maybe 4, that probably stick out. Scott Satterfield of Cincinnati's done a fantastic job with them. Before the season started, I thought they'd come in 9th, 10th in the conference. Willie Fritz at Houston has done an amazing job as well. They were expected to be better, but I still thought they'd be more like 8th in the conference. The guy who has the best team at this moment is Kalani Sitake at BYU. If the best team gets the Coach of the Year award, then he's going to win it. And then Joey McGuire of Texas Tech is doing an outstanding job as well. Just musing on OK State and their head coaching search, the name that seems to be popping up to the top is Zach Robinson, who is the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. Zach is a former quarterback at Oklahoma State. He has ties to that part of the country. And he would be a really good choice, I think. Probably a couple other guys, if they want to go a little bit younger. G.J. Kinney at Texas State is only coached 2 full years, but played at Texas. So Oklahoma State does most of the recruiting in Texas. He signed a 7-year deal last year, and he's 19-14 at Texas State. So may not have enough experience yet for Oklahoma State. Another candidate that would be good is Jeff Traylor at UTSA. He's been a Texas coach a long time. He was at Gilmore High School, and he won Coach of the Year in 4A 4 different times. So he's got the connections in Texas. He was at UT for a while. He coached at SMU, and he's 49-23 at UTSA. He's been there since 2020. Been to several bowl games. But some other candidates that might be interesting, I haven't necessarily heard their name, but Brian Harsin was at Boise State and was very successful, and he went off to Auburn and wasn't as successful. He's now an offensive coordinator at Cal. That might be a name that pops up for an Oklahoma State type job. And then someone who might be someone from FCS that might be interested in taking that job is Tim Polasek from North Dakota State. And North Dakota State's number 1 in the nation in FCS. Team's good, been good every year. He's got some experience coaching in that part of the country. He's spent some time in Wyoming, and he also spent some time at Iowa. So he's got coaching pedigree in some bigger programs, and has done a fantastic job with North Dakota State University. So that is my wrap up for week 9. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, if you can, subscribe to my YouTube page. As I've mentioned many times, it costs you nothing, but it helps me out. And with that, I'll say have a great day and appreciate you. Bye.